Hi you guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you stick around, subscribe, and click on that notification button so that you are aware whenever I post. I'm an LPN if you're new here. If you are returning, hey, how are you? How are you doing? So in honor of CNA week, and I know I'm not even sure when I'm going to post this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be after CNA week. I'm not sure, but in honor of CNA week, I wanted to go ahead and post some content because if you guys don't know, I was also a CNA. I was a CNA for about 6 years, and it was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. The type of experience that I've been privileged and blessed to have as a CNA, I wouldn't trade it for a thing. So I just wanted to share some places that CNAs can work and the type of work that y'all can do. I also wanted to share a little bit of the experiences that I've had working as a CNA. And if I miss anything, please feel free to share your knowledge as well in the comment section below. If you're a CNA, happy CNA week. I appreciate you so much. We appreciate you, even the a-holes that have a hard time saying thank you or please. I just want to say thank you on their behalf as well. So without further ado, let's just get into the video, okay? So the very first place, of course, being biased because that is the experience that I've had, very first setting that you can find a CNA is in assisted living. That was actually my very first job straight out of CNA school. I went straight and I was just applying to any job, and I landed an interview at an assisted living facility. You can work at assisted living, you can work in hospitals, you can work in nursing homes, you can rehab facilities, and also work for home health companies. You can be a private CNA also. There's lots of people who just look for one person to take care of their loved ones. You can work in hospice settings. So I think when it comes to the work of CNAs, I think you have a lot more options if you work for like an agency, for example, like home health, for example. I worked in assisted living for a few years, and then I went ahead and I needed something more. Besides the money, I needed more money, and I also wanted to just expose myself to other things. And so I went ahead and quit my CNA job at the assisted living facility, and I worked for a home health agency. That was probably the best decision I've ever made in all of my CNA years, and even like in general. And I'll tell you guys why. My plans was always to apply to nursing school. So just to give you guys a background, I actually attended a 4-year university. I got my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I picked up a minor in sciences and biological sciences because I wanted to eventually use those science courses to serve as prerequisites for nursing school. So while I was in undergrad, I took evening classes to get my CNA certification, and then after that, I got my job, my very first job as a CNA in assisted living. I did that for a few years, and then around 2017, I think it was 3 years after I had become a CNA, I wanted to transition to home health. A lot of people were talking about it, and people were saying that they were making a lot more money, and so I was like, okay, that's where it's at, and that is where it's at. So I applied, I got in, I got the job. In this particular home health company, they did a lot actually. So they hire CNAs to work as staff CNAs, like if a facility needed CNAs, they can, provide staffing. They also hire CNAs to work as one-on-one sitters. So if you've got grandma who's, got a little bit of dementia and it's not safe to leave her at home by herself, you'd have family members who call in and request a sitter to come and sit and, be her companion for the day or so. Also, they also hired CNAs and certified you a little bit to be a medication proxy so that you can basically give medications. So I did all of that. The amount of experience that I got, y'all, the level of trust these people put in me to take care of these folks, it seemed like a lot of work back in the day, but as a nurse right now, I am so grateful and so thankful for that kind of exposure. Let me tell y'all, eventually when I got into nursing school, I could only work Saturdays and Sundays, weekends only, 12-hour shifts. And there just so happened to be a position available where they needed someone to be in a building Saturdays and Sundays. On weekends, it was just a shift that people were not interested in. So I agreed to pick up that shift. I needed it for school. And the way that it worked is the agency, they basically hired CNAs and people who were certified to give medications at this specific independent living facility. They had their own office in there and everything. So what you did was you gave medications to residents at that facility who were under the home health program. What they called was a medication management program. So I was basically in charge of giving people medications who were under our services. So it wasn't just that. The amount of exposure that I got doing this for so many years, was exposed to medications that I had never seen before. I was exposed to different medical conditions hands-on with that. And I was not a nurse. I was just a CNA with a certification to give meds. I got experience with what to do when someone's having a seizure. I got to see firsthand the complications of CHF, heart conditions and blood pressure. I got to see firsthand what it's like when somebody refuses to take their medications and what happens then. Diabetes management. I was doing all these things while a CNA, while in nursing school. And so if you're currently a CNA right now, or you're considering becoming a CNA, this is probably I would recommend this to be the route to go. See, being a CNA is not just about wiping people's butts or giving them showers or feeding them in bed or, spending the day with them. It's a lot more, especially if you land a job with a company that is a lot more flexible when it comes to the type of things that you do. Always make sure that you're doing things within your scope and that you're allowed to do these things. But the amount of experience that I got working through a home health agency when I left the assisted living world, it was just it was priceless, y'all. It was really, really priceless. You get to experience people dying. It's just the natural flow of life. I can't even count the amount of times that I have anticipated people's passing or just sat there with the families or just sat there with them. I remember I picked up an assignment at the very beginning. It was actually a few months into me starting the job as a CNA at the home health company. And they sent me to go sit with a man who was passing. But the way that they worded it, it was just he may be passing, but it's just going to take a few days. So he may not pass on your shift. And this was when I was picking up overnight shifts. And so, long story short, I was in charge of, and this is when it was still legal in my state to do so. So I was in charge of giving a specific person pain meds to just provide comfort. I had never done that before. And so you learn to get into uncomfortable situations, like someone actively passing. And I actually saw this person take their very last breaths in the middle of the night, and I was in charge of notifying the family and all that. So before I even became a nurse, I was basically doing nursing stuff. And that is an experience that I would never forget. Like I'm always going to take this with me. I'm always going to be grateful for the type of exposure that I got. But so home health would definitely be one thing that I recommend for those who are CNAs. Also working at a hospital. Of course, you are very, very, very limited to the type of things you can do at the hospital as a CNA. I'm pretty sure for the most part, you are in charge of, the ADLs and vitals and stuff like that. And also the best part about working in a hospital is that you also get full-on exposure with conditions, certain diseases and all that. If you have a really good relationship with a nurse or a doctor or anyone who works on that floor, they can, kind of guide you on and teach you a few things. But for the most part, I'm most grateful for working at the home health company that I worked with. But with that being said, I just want to tell y'all, if you are yet a CNA, or you're in the process of becoming a CNA, or you're a new CNA, I just want you to know that whenever you are in a position of being at someone's service at all times, just know that it is physically, mentally, emotionally taxing. I just want you to know that. And as long as you know that you are going into work to take care of somebody because they absolutely need you, because without you, they cannot do the things that you are hired to do, then it would make their job a little bit more bearable. And of course, also working with people who are very supportive too. But I just want to say that being a CNA is hard. It's hard work. Physically, you've got to give people showers, you got to get certain people up. There are some people who are physically limited, so you kind of have to provide assistance. Being mindful of your posture when you're helping someone ambulate or when you're transferring someone. Be mindful of your posture. You're going to thank me later, years down the road. Remember this video. You need to be careful about your posture. You only got one back. You only got one body. You want it to last a long time. Take care of your back. Helping with feedings. You're being a companion. Sometimes you can have a patient or a resident who is having a hard time emotionally, and so you're going to find yourself needing to be there for them. And for the most part, this job is the most rewarding because you are there to help people. And so so that is my spiel. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'm going to make a part 2 video about what to expect in CNA school. Thank you so much for watching my video. I appreciate you all so much, and I hope that you're taking care of you. If you're a CNA, happy CNA week. I appreciate you as mentioned before, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye, y'all.